Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest. Welcome to another episode of the Strive for 25 podcast. I've got an amazing guest today, again, north of the border, Nicky Billou, and he is a best-selling author. I've written 8 books, top-rated podcast in the thought leadership world, and also he is a millionaire maker. That's what he does. He makes millionaires. But Nicky, thanks for joining us today, and give our guests a little bit of a quick background on what you do.
Joel, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'll give you my backstory real quick. So I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. And when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. This was not going to be a great place for him to raise his Christian family. So he made a plan. And he eventually got us out of Iran and settled us where I now live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I thank God every day for my dad and his foresight. Because of that, I was a kid, right? I didn't want to leave my friends. I didn't want to leave my home. But looking back now is the greatest thing he did. He took us away from tyranny, and he brought us to freedom. And, for me, I'm very grateful that I get to live in a free country. I'm a champion for freedom, free expression, and free enterprise. First and foremost, I think every entrepreneur needs to understand freedom is the bedrock that allows you to be an entrepreneur. Without freedom, you can't have free enterprise, which means you can't do what you need to do to grow your business. So you got to be a champion for freedom. And entrepreneurs need to, people that say, well, I only want to focus on my business. If you don't focus on your freedom first, you won't be able to have a business in the long run. That's number one. Secondly, my dad, he was an uplifter of human beings, brother. If he knew you and you were looking for work, he'd make some calls and help you get a job. If you were trying to start a business, he'd meet up with you, bring you some advisors, maybe even find you some sources of capital. And if you were trying to buy a car, a house, or an apartment, and you didn't have quite enough money, Dad would top you up so you could buy that car, that house, that apartment. Who does that, brother? Well, the late, great Napoleon Billou, for one. But why would he do that? Well, first and foremost, he was a Christian. He believed he'd been blessed by God, and it was his duty as a Christian to share those blessings with other people. But secondly, he did it because he could. He was successful. And that's another thing. Making people successful allows good to be spread throughout the world. That's a lesson I learned from my father. And my father always used to tell me, son, remember, life is about people. It's not about money. It's not about numbers. It's not about business. It's about people. Even business is not about money or numbers. It's about people. Because after all, what do you do in business, Joel? You solve problems for people for profit. P. Problems, people, profit. Acute problems for amazing people at an awesome profit. That's the goal. If you think of that in the form of a Venn diagram, that's a beautiful thing. It really gets life going. And, I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be a helper of people. And so eventually I became an entrepreneur. It was a bit of a circuitous route. But when I got there, I realized that every good thing in the world happens because an entrepreneur has a dream and goes after it. Do you agree with me, Joel? Every good thing in the world happens because an entrepreneur has a dream and goes after it. And yet there's a lot of people in business that are good people that do good work, but maybe they don't necessarily have business completely figured out yet, right? They don't get, marketing and sales systems. They don't get hiring and firing and building cultures. They don't get balance sheets and income statements and cash flow statements. They don't get systems and processes and customer service and IT systems and all that jazz. They don't get exit strategies, wealth building. And you know what the problem is with not understanding all these key elements of business? There's only so far your native talent in the thing that you do will take you. After a while, not understanding how to make the business of your business work is going to cause you to grind to a halt. And that's what happened to so many good people. They'd make 100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, and then they'd stop, right? They just couldn't get past that. So I saw this. I have a background in business. My father was a businessman, and he understood how to run businesses. And I actually studied business in school. So I thought, I can help these people. Nicky Billou, can help these people. So how am I going to help these people? Well, first and foremost, you know what? I sat down with folks and I started to look at, well, what are the key things a lot of people have issues with? Well, it boils down to marketing and sales, ways to get revenue through the door and to get people to appreciate who you are and what you can do for them, right? So the first thing is a lot of people have problems with sales is because they are not wanting to be one of those salesy people. You know what I'm talking about, Joel? Those pushy salespeople. You know, those people that go, you gotta buy, you gotta buy, you gotta buy. Oh my God, I want to be one of those people.
Hey, I was just
Permission
calling to follow up. Just calling to follow up. Are you ready?
Yeah. You know, it's cool to follow up, but I mean, there's a way to follow up and there's a way not to follow up. You know what I mean? Usually folks that are like those pushy salespeople, you ready? You want to buy? Come on. Yeah. No. Nobody wants to hear that crap. And so here's the problem with that, though. These good people, they would not go after legitimate business because of that fear. There'd be people that they should be trying to help, that they wouldn't try to help. Joel, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem with that is, first of all, if you're a good person and you're not going after business you should be going after, you won't get it. You miss out on the revenue. That hurts you. That hurts your business. That hurts your family. But secondly, that client could have used your help. That client could have used your love, your caring, and they won't get it. And you know what happens usually? Some charlatan, some semi-sociopathic individual comes in and scoops the business because they're good at saying the right things, but they don't care whether they deliver or not. The sum total of goodness in the world goes down. And I saw that, man, and it just broke my heart. And I thought, you know what? I can help these people. So let me sit down and talk to them. And I would. But people, that word sales just got stuck in so many people's craw. So I thought, you know what? Let's rebrand this. Let's reframe this. Let's not call it selling. Let's call it serving. Now, that's a lot better, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to be sold. Joel, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But don't you want to be served by a caring human being? Somebody that really wants what's best for you, right? And they're not as concerned about the commission because they know, look, if they do the right things, eventually they're going to get the right results. And when we help people reframe their thinking into that, I'm telling you, they were no longer pushy, but they were bold stands for their customers. There's a difference between you want to buy, you want to buy, you want to buy, and tell me what's bothering you. Tell me what's not working. And tell me what the impact is of what's not working. How's this making you feel? How's this making you get along with your wife, your husband, your kids? What's the impact of this on your stress levels? What's the impact of this on your health? Are you staying up at night and are you thinking about this because your mind is racing and you can't sleep and so you're sleep deprived? Like, you ask questions like this of people and someone's saying, yeah, all these things are true, then you're not being a pushy salesperson, brother. When you ask somebody to make a decision to go with what you have to offer, you're being a champion for their best interest. You're telling them, listen, I'm making you an offer, not to buy my thing. I'm making you an offer to solve your problem once and for all. And if you come from that point of view, it's night and day between you want to buy, you ready, you want to buy, and are you ready to solve your problem once and for all? Are you ready to put this hell of stress and fights with your spouse and fights with your kids and not sleeping? Are you ready to put this all behind you? And when you teach people how to do that, Joel, the world opens up for them because they take the attention off themselves. Because that's why people are not succeeding in sales, because all the attention's on them. I wonder what they're going to think of me. I wonder if they're going to like me, or they're going to think I'm pushing. No, put all the attention on the other person. Take all the attention off you and put it on the other person. Success secret number 1 from Nicky Billou. Take all the attention off you and put all the attention on the other person. God will take care of you. I promise you, God will take care of you. He'll do a way better job than you ever could. Your job is to be the instrument of the Lord's will and take care of that person in front of you. And that doubled, tripled, quadrupled people's businesses. When you go to people with an open heart and a heart full of love, opportunities open up for you. That's when your business will grow. That was the first thing that I learned, from my father, right? Attention off them, attention off you, attention on them. It's about people. It's not about money. And serve, don't sell. That kind of is all one big point. You know what I mean? And the second big point, you love it, eh? It's good. It's really, really good, right? Now the second big point, and this is equally important, is there are so many good people out there, Joel, they don't know how to stand out. You ask them what they do, they say things like, I'm a coach, I'm a realtor, I'm a mortgage broker, I'm a financial advisor, you name it. But guess what goes through a person's mind when you tell them that? Doesn't apply to me. Doesn't apply to me. Unless you happen to catch them in that one moment where they are looking for that, which is rare. But, if instead of saying, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that, you say something like this. And here's what I say to people. I'm a champion for the entrepreneur. I believe entrepreneurs, every good thing in the world happens because an entrepreneur has a dream. And I also believe that there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are really good at what they do, but they're being stymied because they don't understand sales, they don't understand marketing or standing out or branding, they don't understand business, and that causes them to hit a plateau. And what I do is I teach them how to serve, not sell, so they attract good people to themselves. I teach them how to stand out from the sea of sameness and be in the oasis of differentiation. And I teach them to remember always to put the attention on people, not on themselves. And then I teach them to go out there and do that lots and lots and lots of times. And that's how they make money. Now, it's a bit of a long-winded way of saying it, but a shorter way of saying it, a way shorter way of saying it is, Nicky, what do you do? I help good men and women who are entrepreneurs add a 0.2 to their income while working 10 to 20 hours less a week. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, would you rather hear me say I'm a business coach, or would you rather hear me say the first thing I said? Right?
Hands down, the first one.
Hands down. And too many people they can't wrap their heads around that. And so what I found is that it's really important to help people wrap their heads around that. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay. One of them was a fellow who was not a businessman at all. In fact, he was a prototypical dumb jock. You know what I'm talking about? And what he decided to do, because he was an athlete, was, I'm going to get people fit. I'm going to be a personal trainer. This is great. I love it. I love working out. This is fabulous. There's only one problem. That personality of his got him 7 clients, and that was it. That was as far as he was able to go. 7 clients, $1,200 a month in income. And he lives in Toronto. Now, Joel, I know you haven't been to Toronto yet, and I know you're planning on joining me in Toronto real soon. Toronto is the New York City of Canada. You understand what I'm saying? It is not cheap. Might not be quite as expensive as New York, but it's right up there. $1,200 a month in Toronto is not a livable wage. I'm just letting you know that right off. So Buddy's going into debt every month, right? So I meet him and I go, hey, Danny, all right, great. Someone said you should work with Nicky. I'm like, all right, this was 8 years ago, February 2015. He was 25 years old at the time. And I go, hey, Danny, great. So tell me, Danny, what do you do? He goes, I'm a personal trainer. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Danny, who do you work with? Who do you help? Nicky, man, I can help anybody do anything. Oh, boy. Now I know exactly why it's not working out so good for you, Danny. I get it. I'm totally understanding why it's not working out so good for you. Danny, you can't do all things for all people. No, but Nicky, I can. I've helped people lose weight. I've helped people pack on muscle. I've helped people go into competition and win competition. I'm telling you what, that's my thing. Oh, okay, Danny, no. We got to narrow the focus. Buddy, please. Help me help you. Help me help you. Remember that line from that movie, Jerry Maguire? Help me help you. Help me help you, right? So he says, all right. He goes, okay. You know what? All right. He said, what if I go after doctors? I'm like, that was out of the blue. Okay, why doctors, buddy? He says, well, my dad's a doctor. I love my dad. I'm like, oh, that's nice. He said, plus doctors make a lot of money. I'm like, oh, Danny, no. You can't be going after the money. That's not what people want to hear. You make a lot of money, so I want to work with you. No, that's not. It's a horrible message. Right? He said, no, I'm gonna do it, Nicky. I'm doing it. He wasn't that coachable to begin with. I guess you kind of figured that, right? So, to nobody's surprise except Danny, didn't work. And so I'm like, Danny, listen, we need to do a redo of this approach. And he says, well, how? I said, well, you need a tight, narrow market niche with a real problem. And then before I could even finish talking, he said, okay, I got it. Cardiologists. They make more money than doctors. I'm like, oh my God, Danny, no, it's not going to work. Oh, I'm going to do that. Oh my God. So he does it. And to nobody's surprise, but Danny's, he bought from him. I think he got one client out of these two efforts. It was because they liked him. I think it wasn't because of his stupid messaging, because his messaging was terrible. And anyways, so through serendipity, the good Lord sent Danny a man with a missing limb who was a Paralympian athlete, Paralympic Games competitor. And this man had a missing leg since he was like a child, right? So Danny and this man, they worked out together. They really did good things together. He got this fellow ready to compete. He went into competition and he won some medals. All right, Joel, man, that's a big deal, right? You coach a dude, Paralympic athlete, win some medals. I mean, puffs up your chest a little bit. You do something like that, right? So Danny comes to me, though, and he's not all puffed up. He's actually pretty humble, which was good because he wasn't so humble before. And he said, Nicky, oh, buddy, I'm an idiot. And I'm like, no argument for me, Danny. You didn't listen. He said, I know. He said, I was going after the money, wasn't I? I go, yeah, you were. I should have been going after helping people, shouldn't I? Yeah, you should have. He said, okay, I'm done with trying to go after guys for money. I said, I'm glad to hear it. He said, but I have an idea and I want to run it by you. And I said, okay, run it by me. He said, see, I have been listening. I haven't maybe doing what you said, but I've been listening. I'm like, all right. He said, I'm going to work with people with missing limbs. Now, Joel, when he said that, a light went off in my head, and there was a glint in his eye, like he was excited to do this. And I thought, this is brilliant. And he found 400 clients in 6 weeks. Now, Joel, you understand he was a one-on-one personal trainer up until this point, right? Like one-on-one, in-person personal trainer. 400 clients in 6 weeks meant that model no longer worked. We had to very quickly come up with a new business model. Pivot. Pivot before pivoting was cool, as they say, right? He went from making $1,200 a month to making over $100,000 a month. A month. Now, there's personal trainers who are lucky to make that in 2 years, right? That's like 2 years is 100, and he made it a month. And he wasn't trying to make money. It wasn't some grand scheme to get rich. What it was that he went into a blue ocean. You ever heard of that book, Blue Ocean Strategy?
No,
right?
I haven't.
It's a marketing book. So you're going to want to read that book. It's a marketing book written by a couple of professors at a university in Europe. I forget their names. I think Renee Maubergeon and W. Chan Kim, Blue Ocean Strategy. And what they say is that businesses thrive when they get out of the red ocean of competition and they go into the blue ocean of no competition. Now, why was this a blue ocean for him, brother? Well, it was a blue ocean because no other trainer was going after people with missing limbs. And do you want to know why? Joel, do you want to take a wild guess why no other trainers were going after people with missing limbs? I'm going to let you take a wild guess, and then I'll tell you.
They didn't know how to train them or didn't want to train them?
They didn't think they could train. They didn't believe that someone with missing limbs could train. And so they were not thinking they could, succeed in getting them as clients. Think about that. And sadly, that belief was shared by a lot of people with missing limbs who also felt the same way. But Danny knew better. He worked with a fellow with missing limbs. And his message to people with missing limbs was, hey, you can do anything anybody else can do. You are just as good, just as much of a badass, lives within you as lives within anybody else. Can you see why that would be powerful, bro? Can you
100%.
see why that would
100%.
right? 1,000%, right? So they ate that message up. They ate that message up. And that's how Danny became successful. Now, Danny will be the first guy to tell you he's not a rocket scientist. He's not a rocket scientist. You know, he is a fellow of, average intelligence. Let's just put it like that, right? But he was a fellow with a high level of empathy. He was a fellow with a high level of caring for his fellow man. So his EQ was off the charts. His IQ was average. And I'm here to argue that if you want to be successful in business, your EQ needs to be higher than your IQ.
I have a question for you.
Write that down. You might want to write that down if you're listening to this. Your EQ needs to be higher than your IQ. All right, sure. Fire away.
So what's going through my brain, you have months where you're making $1,200, for a full month, obviously probably barely surviving. And you go through a period of time where you're struggling and bouncing ideas off of Nicky and still not working because you're not listening and doing the things that make sense. But he didn't stop, right? He kept on going, and then found this opportunity, however you want to say he found it, but it came across him and he capitalized. But so many people stop, right? So EQ, IQ, where do you quantify the trait of just not stopping? Because he kept on going, right? Where many people would have, I'm gonna go do something, I'm gonna go work at some company, go get a desk job or whatever it may be. Why did he keep on going?
That is a great question, and I'm going to answer in a multi-layered way. You see, in my experience, an individual needs to have 4 qualities if they truly want to be successful in anything, business or otherwise. You follow what I'm saying? And these 4 qualities are mandatory and non-negotiable. If you lack any of them, you will not succeed. You could pedal along, but you won't succeed. So let me take you through these 4 qualities. The first quality is decisiveness. You cannot be one of these people that is a hobbyist or a dabbler or a tire kicker. You need to be in the auto dealership ready to buy a car. You follow me? Not ready to kick a tire. Now, what is the meaning of the word decisive? Deciding. Decide means to kill off the alternative to what you decided on. It means you are killing any other alternative. There is no this or that. You follow me? There is only that. And where does that word decide come from? Well, side is the root of the word decide. It's actually a Latin word that means kill. And there are other words with side in it in the English language that you may be familiar with, such as homicide, suicide, genocide, patricide. All of them are about killing things off. So to decide is to say no to everything but the one thing. If you are not able to be that level of human being in life, if you're part of Generation Soft, because we live in the era of Generation Soft. Do you agree with me, Joel? We live in Generation Soft today?
I think that's pretty accurate. Right? I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Generation Soft, you're done. If you join Generation Soft, you're done. You need to join Generation Hard. There are a lot of people out there today that are talking about this. I'm one of them. But there's also Andy Frisella of the Real AF podcast. There's the great David Goggins, the author of the books Can't Hurt Me and Never Finished, right? There are folks that are doing this and talking this way, okay? So you've got to be someone who's ready to decide. I'm going to tell you a story of a decision that changed the course of history, okay? Not just for the individual who made the decision, but for all of us, for you and me sitting here today. So, are you familiar with Napoleon Hill and the book Think and Grow Rich?
Mm-hmm.
So it is the best-selling personal development book of all time, right? The best-selling. It's published originally in 1938. Now, what you may not know is that Napoleon Hill came from very humble beginnings. He was, born, I think, in Virginia or West Virginia back in the day. And he was, as a young man, a newspaper reporter. He did not make a lot of money. This was in the days where newspaper reporters were actually serious people that tried to get at the truth in life, right? And so his editor knew the then richest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie. And so he asked Andrew Carnegie to grant his newspaper an interview. And Carnegie said yes. And he sent Napoleon Hill to interview Andrew Carnegie. Now, he went to Andrew Carnegie's estate. Imagine what the richest man in the world's estate looked like back in those days. And so Napoleon Hill was blown away by all he saw and experienced around him. But he did his job. He asked some good questions. And, Mr. Carnegie said to him, "Hey, Mr. Hill, I very much enjoyed our time together. I have a question for you, sir. How would you like to spend the weekend with me at my estate as a guest? I would like to speak with you further." Now, Joel, I don't know about you, but if the richest man in the world today were to ask me, Nicky Billou, Mr. Billou, would you like to spend the weekend at my estate? Because I would like to talk to you further. Do you know what I would have said? Yes, right? I would have said yes. I'm very certain you would have said yes too, right? There's no other answer to be had. Sweetheart, I'll see you on Monday. There's an opportunity here. I got to take it. Take care of the kids, honey. Ciao. Click, right? That's it. I can't tell you much more than that. All right? But, you got the tracker on my phone. You can find me. And she's like, all right. So they spoke for the whole weekend. And at the end of their time together, Andrew Carnegie went to Napoleon Hill and said to him, "Mr. Hill, I have a proposition for you. How would you like to spend the next 20 years of your life researching my philosophy of success? I will not pay you a stipend. In other words, I'm not going to finance it for you, buddy-o. But what I will do is I will introduce you with letters of introduction to the 500 richest and most successful men and women in these here United States. In other words, I'm going to open my Rolodex to you of the most successful men and women in history." It took Napoleon Hill 31 seconds to say yes, because he understood the opportunity that was being given to him. And the rest is history, right? He wrote the book. He wrote a whole lot of other books. He is, without a doubt, the father of the modern personal development industry. I think you and I agree on that, right? Now, many years later, Napoleon Hill went to see the great man one last time before he passed. And while they were reminiscing, Andrew Carnegie said to him, "Mr. Hill, I need to tell you something, sir." He said, "Yes, Mr. Carnegie, what is it?" He said, "All those years ago, when you were with me at my estate, and I made that proposition to you, I had under the table, where you were unable to see it, a watch with a second hand on it." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "What's he going to tell me?" "I'd given you 1 minute to make up your mind. And if you had not made up your mind within a minute, I was going to pull the offer." Actually, I think he said withdraw the offer, but I said pull. Napoleon Hill's eyes just went, "Sir," in his mind, he goes, "Thank God I said yes quickly." He said, but sir, why?" He said, "Why? Why?" Simple. Because. Now you need to tell me why. Because you've spent 20 years studying my methods of success. Why, indeed. He said, okay. He said, okay, I got it. Successful people are fast deciders. And he said, yes, Mr. Hill, I'm so pleased that you got this answer correctly. He said, myself and all the most successful men and women that you interviewed, they size up a situation, get the facts, and they get the facts quickly. They don't take their time to get the facts, and they make a decision immediately. Yes or no. Unsuccessful people, losers, say things like, that's very intriguing, but I need to think about it. I need to talk to my husband, my wife. I need to have a seance with my dead ancestors. My dog needs to weigh in on this, and I'll get back to you. And he said, I spoke to 4 of the most eminent educators in the United States, and they all said, I need to get back to you. Only 2 of them did. They got back to me late, and they said no. And he said, I knew I was not looking for anyone like that. Successful people are fast deciders. You've got to be decisive. Are you in or are you out? Are you ready to win in life, or are you going to stay a loser? That's all you got to say yes or no to right now. Secondly, second quality, commit. You must commit. You've got to be willing to be a disaster before you're a master, because every master was once a disaster. You've got to be willing to suck at something before you're mediocre at it, before you're average at it, before you're decent at it, before you are good at it, before you're great at it, before you're iconic at it, before you're the best that ever was at it. That is the level of commitment required. It cannot be, I will give this a try for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Are you in it to win it? Because if you're not, you're going to lose. Third, you must be coachable. You're not going to get it done on your own. You need coaching. If you could have figured it out on your own, you already would have. I want you to write this down if you're listening to this. If you could have figured it out on your own, you already would have. Whatever it is. You must invest in a coach, a mentor. You must join a peer group. You must attend a conference. You must purchase and study the courses. You must read the books. The great Robin Sharma, the man who sold 20 million copies of his books, his most famous book is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, once said to me, because he was a client of mine, Nicky, if you ever want to double your income, triple your investment in personal and professional development. Triple. At the time I told him, Robin, I'm almost broke. He said, it doesn't matter, find a way. And that leads to the fourth quality, resourcefulness, also known as finding a way. Tony Robbins said, it doesn't matter how many resources you have. What matters is, how resourceful are you? How bad do you want change? How bad do you want change? Joel, I'm going to tell you a personal story. A little over a decade ago, my then wife, seemingly out of the blue, decided she didn't want to be married to me anymore. It took me by complete and utter surprise. Maybe I should have seen it coming, but I sure as heck did not. I ended up kicked out of the house by her, sleeping on my mother's couch, grown-ass man with 2 sons. And I was broke. I wasn't making any money. I couldn't earn any money. I was in a tailspin. One day, a friend of mine invited me to a conference, and I was allowed to attend this conference, even though I didn't have any money. I was allowed to attend. I put on a nice suit. I went to the conference, clean shaven. Those were my pre-year days. And this man delivered a talk. It was a talk that resonated with me in the deepest recesses of my soul, brother. At the end of his talk, I walked over to him and I said to him, hi, my name's Nicky Billou. He shook hands with me. I said, I really enjoyed your talk. Can I tell you my story? He said, sure. So I told him my story. By the end of me telling him my story, I said to him, I really need help, and I think I need to hire you. I was shaking like a leaf, brother, because you got to understand, I was defeated and down in the dumps. And he looked at me and he could tell I was defeated and down in the dumps. He said, I understand. He said, but you need to know my minimum fee for working with an individual is $5,000. That's for 5 hours of my advice coaching. And he said, I get paid upfront in full. I offer no guarantees and no refunds. Do you still want to work with me? And brother, that was like a sledgehammer blow. I said, I don't have any money. I can't. And he said, son, I'm going to give you some free coaching. He was maybe 10 years older than me, but he called me son. He had the father energy. I had the son energy. So here's what happened, bro. He said to me, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I said, it doesn't? But I thought that was all that mattered because you want $5,000 from. And he said, no, it doesn't. He said, listen, it doesn't matter to me whether you become my client or not. It makes no difference to my life, my business, my financial future. I have more clients than I can handle. And if you don't become my client, there's 24 more people who want to become my clients right now. I was like, oh, okay. He said, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. How bad do you want change? He said, you just told me, young man, that your wife kicked you out of the house, that you're sleeping on your mother's couch, that you are not seeing your 2 sons, that you are broke and you feel horrible. How much longer do you want to put up with this? A week? A month? A year? That was shocking. And I was like, okay. All right. I said, give me a couple days. I'll come back to you. So I went home, pissed off, determined to act. Do you know what I mean? Like, he freaking insulted my manhood, man. But he was right. My manhood deserved to be insulted. And I got on the phone with a couple of people who were people that I'd been talking to about working with them. I was a fitness coach at the time. And they had not said yes, they had not said no. But I went to them with some energy and I said, look, I got some good news for you. I said, you are fat and you need to lose weight. Otherwise, there's going to be a major health event in your life in the next 6 to 12 months. You know it, I know it. Agreed? They didn't like to hear that, but they go, yeah, you're right. And I said, and I am broke and I need money to get back into my son's lives. So I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to give you the deal of a century. I'm going to give you half price on the last price I quoted you. But here's the deal. You need to say yes now, and you need to pay me now. That is the deal. And I'm going to hang up, and you're going to say yes or no now. And when I hang up, this deal expires forever. So what's it going to be? You're going to do this, or you're going to stay fat and you're going to have a health event? Like, that was pretty freaking bold, right, Joel? Like, it was bold. But Joel Tuman said, yeah, I'll do it. They gave me $1,000 each. And I helped them out over the next few months. I really helped them out. I got them in better shape. You know, they weren't going to win any competitions, but they weren't going to get type 2 diabetes and, you know, have a stroke either. So that was good. So I was pleased as punch. I had $2,000. I was on a high, and I walked over to this fellow's office at the appointed time, at the appointed hour, and I put $2,000 down, and I said, here you go. And he said, that's wonderful, but that's 2. And I said, I was like, oh, fuck. I said, hey, listen, Bill, his name was Bill. I said, Bill, how many times have you told this story over the years? And he said, over the years, 30, maybe 40 times. I'm like, oh, that many? He said, yep. And I said, besides me, who else came to you with any money and a desire to work? He said, oh, Nicky, that's an easy question to answer. You are the very first. I'm like, I am the very first. He said, you are the very first. The very first. The very first. And I said, okay. Darn it, man. I said, take my money. I'm going to sign you up with a contract that I'm going to pay you within 30 to 60 days. Okay. And he said, okay. The rest is history. Within 6 months, I made 6 figures. And I paid him back early because I wanted change badly. And I got resourceful. And I asked the folks listening to this episode now, how bad do you want change? Are you tired of looking in the mirror and knowing you're not living your best life? Are you tired of having a little bit of roll of fat around your belly that you don't want there? Are you tired of making less money than you deserve to make? Are you tired of being broke? Are you tired of not having an investment plan for your income? Are you tired of your relationship being mediocre and average? Are you tired of having a non-existent or terrible sex life with the person you love? Are you tired of it? Maybe you're going out in front of the world and you're putting on a happy face with happy talk, but inside, are you tired of it? Because if you're tired of it, let's stop messing around and let's get to work. Let's embrace these 4 qualities like a man of action, a woman of action, and let's do what we need to do. Let's do the needful, and let's make this life of yours not suck anymore, and let's make it great.
Make this life not suck anymore. Make it great. Yeah, I mean, so just to recap that. So decisiveness, right? That's where we started, right? Decisiveness, coachable,
commitment, coachable,
resourcefulness. 4th.
You got it.
Okay. So as I've been going down this journey, myself with this podcast and social media and trying to be able to talk about the wealth building process and internally looking at myself, there's so many people that are doing okay. They got a good job, they got a 401k or a pension or whatnot, and they're in a good spot, right? And they're in a comfort zone, right? Not too great, not too bad, but they're in their comfort zone. And I think there's a lot of people that may be hearing this message that, hey, I don't need this, right? But then when I see stats like, the median, the 50% of the people of the working adults don't have $1,000 saved. The median amount of net worth for somebody in their 60s is like $250,000. Like when you look at the average is skewed to like $1 million because you have the billionaires that are skewing the numbers. But the median, the person at 50 out of 100, the middle person is, not nowhere close to that. And is that 200K? Is that going to help? Is that going to be enough to survive 25 more years? So when we talk about this stuff, right, like the pain, the struggle, not everybody's there, but the people that are there, right, there are resources, there are people, there are options and services out there to be able to connect the dots and accelerate the process to get them to their goal or where they want to be. But the idea of so many people being in their comfort zone and they're okay with where they are. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Your brother, they're part of Generation Soft. If they want to stay in Generation Soft, that's their choice. But I'm here to talk to the people who know Generation Soft is not for them, who know that is living a life of quiet desperation, that is living a life that they know is sucking their very soul out. I'm speaking to the men and women who want to be a part of Generation Hard. I'm speaking to the men and women who are done with their life sucking. I'm speaking to those who know there's a kernel of greatness in them and they just want to learn how to get it out and live from it. Because if you want to stay stuck in Generation Soft, this podcast message is not for you. Go to some university and go be a plain and beautiful snowflake somewhere. Okay? But if you're done with that, then here's what I'm going to tell you. Make a decision right now. Commit. Be willing to be a disaster before you're a master. Get coachable. Get the best damn coaches you can get. Hire Joel if you're looking to get yourself to a space of building wealth. Hire me if you're looking to grow your income or you're just looking to create some badassery in your mind. If your relationship sucks, message me and I'll send you somebody I know who's great at fixing relationships. If your health sucks, message me, I'll send you to someone who's great at fixing health. And then get resourceful and do whatever you got to do to work with those people and to work on yourself for your dream. That's what you need to do. But comfort and greatness do not coexist. They cannot. You got to choose. Do I want to be comfortable? Do I want to be great? I know what I'm choosing. Every single day, I'm choosing to be great. I know what you're choosing, Joel. Every single day, you're choosing to be great.
Yeah, and when you say that,
listener, do the same. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it took me, like, I know where I'm at right now is light years ahead of where I was a year ago and 5 years ago, and the way I look at things. And I had to go through struggle and turmoil and pain and all these things helped me push out of my own comfort zone to get there.
Yes,
and it sounds like that happened to you along the way. You didn't just get born out of the womb thinking that way, but you got there over a series of consequences and events and failures and struggles and wins along the way. And so if someone is out there thinking to themselves, my pain isn't that much, right? Or I don't have that desire to be able to go do all these things and work hard and go to the next level. Cause like me personally, like I'm working at night. Like I have big goals. I'm trying to be able to accomplish things, but somebody may not have those big goals. So how does somebody sit there thinking, okay, I got a pension, I've got a good job. Like I know that I want to do this stuff, but like I just can't even fathom like trying to go do X, Y, Z more than what I'm already doing. Does that person just have to just get to their own point of failure and rock bottom and pain to be able to get there? How does that person get there?
So, brother, I'm here to tell you, I'm not. If they don't want to get there, they don't have to. There's such a thing as free will, and you live in a free society. You have a right to be mediocre if that's what you want. I'm not here to persuade or convince anybody of anything. I'm here to wake up the lions. I'm not here to preach to the sheep. If you're ready, let's go. If you're not, no problem. The same for everybody. Most people are going to live and die in Generation Soft, and that's okay.
Another question for you. So the people that you work with on your coaching platform, what percentage of people that you work with that come to you have never invested in coaching before? When you ask the question, hey, are you investing in yourself? What percentage is zero?
I don't think anybody's never invested in anything before. You know, they've all invested in something, but there may be some people who haven't made a big investment before. They've just made small investments. Maybe they've bought books. Maybe they've attended a conference for $500 or something. But there comes a point in a man's life, in a woman's life, where enough is enough. And I'm telling you right now, Joel, you're looking for the people who are ready. You're not looking for the people you need to convince.
So
there's plenty of people who are ready. Someone's going to listen to this and go, I wish I was ready. That's okay. Maybe it'll take them another 6 months, a year, 2 years to get ready. Maybe what they're hearing today, all that's going to do is just wake up a spark in their soul. But then there's going to be other people that are going to listen that are going to go, damn, I'm ready now. And there's going to be other people who are going to go, Joe, why'd you bring that crazy man on your show? It's just how it is, man. You can't be all things to all people, brother. You can't. You need to stop trying to, Joe. You're looking for the people that are looking for what you're looking for. That's it. Don't go after people that aren't after what you're after. How you're going to get the clients you're looking for is you're going to get the people that are like, I need somebody now. And those people are going to go, damn it, let's go. And the other people are going to go, well, maybe never, maybe in 3 months, maybe in 6 months. Okay, let them. Maybe in 3 or 6 months, they'll listen to you again. They'll go, I'm ready for them now. You got to keep doing what you're doing. But it's not your job to convince people, Joe. Convincing is what charlatans do. Convincing isn't what the good people put the good message out there. They want to make a difference for people. They care. But at the end of the day, there's free will and there's choice. Every man, every woman on this planet, certainly in the United States and Canada, has the right to choose what kind of life they want to live. You just want to be a beacon to find the ones that are looking for what you're looking for.
And you mentioned something earlier on, in terms of like a marketing message, right? Part of the things that you do is can help people hone in on their marketing side of things. And, and what we're talking about right now, the people that are absolutely ready to be able to make a change, the pain is too great. And sticking with where they are right now, it would be too much to stay there. So regardless if you're in sales or you're a chiropractor or you're in social media or whatever business you're in, right? These types of mentalities are things that you can incorporate into your marketing. That way you're attracting the right type of clientele who's ready, right?
100%, brother. 100%. And like I said, if someone needs to think through how to create the brand for themselves, how to stand out, that's what we offer to people inside the work that we do. And you know what we do? We offer a fantastic workshop. Someone wants to find out, about how this can apply to them. Let's have a conversation. But the number one quality a person needs to have before they can make all that work is somebody who's ready. They got to embrace those 4 qualities. And then they're going to win. And that's how we wrap up this show, brother.
I love it. So where can people find you? Google your name. They're going to find what? Your
Nicky
books,
Billou's everywhere, man. Yeah. Go on to Amazon, the books and the podcast. That's the easiest place to find me for that. But if you want to have a conversation, then go to eastcircleacademy.com/appointment. There's an application process to apply to get on my calendar. I offer a complimentary coaching session called a Success Coaching Session. Go fill out the application. Show me you're ready, and we'll have a call.
Cool. So, Nicky, any other words of wisdom or advice you would give to somebody that's an aspiring entrepreneur?
You can do 20 times more than you think you can. 20 times more than you think you can.
That's
Navy SEAL taught me that.
That's a big number.
Mark Divine.
20 times
Mark
more.
Divine. 20 times more than you think you can. Mark Divine taught me that. You want to practice that, Joel? You told me that you thought you could make 50 calls in a week. I'm going to challenge you to make 1,000. Now, let's say you fail. Let's say you get only to 130. But last week you did 50, man. You already over doubled your output. You follow me?
Yeah.
You can do 20 times more than you think you can. Expand your mind first, and then your results will expand.
I mean, that right there. Expand your mind first, and the results will expand with it.
Yes, sir.
I love it. I love it. And that's the thing, is that we fall into our equilibriums, that we fall into our comfort zones, and sometimes you need something to snap you out of it. So I'm just happy to have you on here to be able to dig into this stuff, and appreciate our time always talking to each other. But thanks again. Oh, last thing, brother. 2023. What's one goal you want to be able to accomplish throughout this upcoming year?
You know what, brother? I want to find 30 more lions. 30 more lions.
Okay. Cool. All right.
All right, brother.
Any lions out there? Message Nicky. Find them.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me on the show. It was a real honor. God bless.
Thanks, Nicky. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.